So in this video we're going to look at preventative maintenance on cutting tools. And what do we mean by preventative maintenance? General care and maintenance, maintaining your tools to make sure that they can continue to do the job that you want them to do. So the first thing we're going to need is some jeweler's rouge. You can pick this up all over the internet. This is an exceptionally fine polishing compound. This is quite a small one. I've been using this for a long time. Next thing we're going to need is some leather. As leather workers we tend to have scraps. If not, find a leather worker, ask them for a scrap of vegetable tan leather. This is a piece I've been using for a while. I'm going to show you how to use this to clean and maintain your tools. We're going to take our jeweler's rouge and rub it on top. I'm going to use an amount of pressure so we can see that the colour is changing and that the white from the jeweler's rouge is transferring across to the leather. Once that's done, this is good to go. What you can do if you have a piece of wood and a bigger piece of leather is you can make yourself a larger solid strop. You get a solid strop and you get something called a barber's strop or a straight edge strop, which is a slack strop. We're not going to be using a slack strop today. However, that is just an old belt that you can hook onto one side, and you do the same thing with the jeweler's rouge on the inside. And this is normally for hollow ground blades, which none of these are. Once we've got our small piece, which is what we're going to use today, we're going to take our blade that needs maintaining, needs sharpening. We're going to use this utility knife. Most people would not strop a utility knife. They're designed to be thrown away. However, by using these measures, we can make them last even longer. So the first tool we're going to strop today is the utility knife. I'm just going to use my maker's knife. All we're going to do is use the leather strop that we've just prepared with our jeweler's rouge on. I'm going to use this piece of wood just to represent what would normally be the edge of your workbench. So if I do it this way, imagine this is the table edge of your workbench, this is your tabletop. Rest this on the side, and all we're going to do is gently find the angle. So place the blade flat, gently tilt it, and just do a couple of gentle strokes. We're going to let the polishing compound do all of the work. Then we're going to just pull it back towards ourselves as well. That should be enough to give that fresh lease of life. Do it a couple of times and your utility knife will last quite a long time. The next tool we're going to look at is the head knife. This knife needs the most maintenance. We'll use a solid strop, which is essentially a piece of wood with some leather glued down to it, and then on top of that is polishing compound. And how we make sure the polishing compound is on there, we take it and we rub it until it changes colour. So this is white, so I want to make sure that I can see there's some nice white transfer on top of this. We can see here. With this knife we want to be as far away from any of the cutting areas possible. So I'm going to start in the middle and pull back towards myself, and I'm going to stop about halfway down the strop so I know that it's nowhere near me, because this is a live cutting edge. So on in the middle, pull back, turn it over, do the other side. And then when it comes to doing the opposite side, again we can start in the middle of the blade, and if we start in the middle of the strop, we know that when we pull back and away from ourselves, we're nowhere near the live side of the cutting edge. We give it a small turn to ensure that we're getting all the way to the edge. We're not pushing too hard, we're letting the polishing compound do all of the work for us. As we can see, the colour has started to change on the board here, and it's gone from white to black. If we just rub that with our finger, it'll come white again, and we have the residue on our finger, which is the polishing compound that has done its job. A nice sharp head knife. The clicker knife has its own unique challenge when it comes to maintaining and stropping because of the curve it has. There's a small trick that we can use. The trick that we use when stropping our clicker knife is we have our scrap of leather with polishing compound on, and we have our worktop. I'm going to use this piece of wood, but if this was just your table or your bench, then what you do is you can ease your strop around the worktop, and you can swipe across with your blade using the curve of the wood to help with the curve of the blade. Yeah, again we're going to let the polishing compound do all of the work. One stropped clicker knife. Maintaining our Japanese straight knife. When it comes to keeping this sharp, once you have a nice cutting edge on it, it's just a case of stropping to maintain that edge. To put a nice cutting edge on it requires a lot of polishing and sharpening. What I do recommend when cutting leather, be it thick or thin, if it's upholstery leather and you're using a cutting tool, if you're going to be using a rotary cutter, or if you're going to be using your utility knife, the most important thing that you should be looking at is what are you cutting on. These are self-healing cutting mats. They come in a wide variety of shapes, dimensions, from A1 I believe you can get, A0, all the way down to A5. They're fantastic. I do recommend getting one of these. They're reasonably cheap. You get it from most craft shops, Amazon, eBay, places like that. Put it down, it'll save your worktop. These are called self-healing. The recommendation is to get some water, spray the water onto where you've been cutting. Get a cloth, bit of kitchen roll will do, and sort of rub it in and dry it off. This does a couple of things. It helps the mat to heal itself. Don't know how, something to do with science. And more importantly, it cleans your work surface. If you're going to be putting a nice piece of leather down, you want a nice, clean, dry worktop so you don't have any dye transfer, or if there's any nicks, you'll notice them when you're swiping across, so it will protect your work. A list of the items shown today can be found in the description below, with links where available to purchase this. These are affiliate links, so anything you do purchase by clicking these will help to fund the channel and future tool reviews. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up button. If you aren't already, subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when new videos are released. If you have any suggestions for future videos or have any questions, leave a comment down below.